beautiful.
Seeing the Chronicles of Narnia on the big screen for the first time was nothing short of magical. But what if we told you the film was actually missing a lot of important details? However, when the book was adapted into the 2005 Disney franchise, a lot of his original ideas were sadly left out, including what he actually meant his characters to look like. We know, you're probably thinking, how could the cast get any better than William Moseley and Anna Popplewell? But it's true, almost the entire cast was meant to look completely different than what we saw on screen. If you're a hardcore Narnia fan, buckle up, these differences might be a little shocking.
Your adventure begins now.
The Pevensie siblings gave I Love Lucy an entirely different meaning. She was the reason we got our first magical glimpse of Narnia, and was potentially the most adorable character in the entire franchise.
I'm not a dwarf. I'm a girl.
However, C.S. Lewis had a completely different image in mind when he introduced readers to this adventurous spirit. Although she wasn't given a super detailed description in the novels, she was described as gay and golden-haired. Her actress, Georgie Henley, definitely got her positivity and happiness down-packed. But she has pretty dark hair that we wouldn't exactly describe as golden. While this isn't a huge difference, it's still hard to imagine anyone else but Georgie in the role. It's totally possible that Georgie had an unforgettable audition that had casting directors throwing Lucy's golden hair description out the window. It's what's on the inside that counts, right?
I think I could be brave enough.
I'm sure you could.
Susan was actually known as the beautiful one in the novels, while it's no doubt that her actress, Anna Popplewell, is gorgeous. Her fierceness and leadership are probably what fans of the franchise remember most of her. Getting her personality right sure seemed like the priority when it came to the film's adaptations.
All right, now we really should go back.
But Anna actually matches Susan's book description pretty well. We never get a proper visual of how she appears as a child in the novels, but as an adult. Lewis describes her as a tall and gracious woman with black hair that fell almost to her feet. The only part missing? Her floor-length hair. While that would have been breathtaking to see on screen, hair that long would probably get in the way a lot. It's probably best Disney keep characters with absurdly long hair reserved for just Rapunzel. It's kind of her thing.
Just trying to be realistic.
No, you're trying to be smart.
Moving on down the line of the Pevensie siblings, Edmund's description in the book series was probably the most low-key.
I was just playing along.
In the 2005 film, Edmund was portrayed by actor Skander Keenes, who has both brown hair and brown eyes. It's still really unclear why Lewis decided not to give Edmund an official description, but fans of the series have used illustrations from the novel to come to a conclusion on how he was meant to look. They're set on the fact that Edmund was actually meant to have blonde hair and blue eyes, and he was also cast like this for the 1988 Narnia BBC series. You might have already realized that this description is wildly different from how Skander looks, but Skander still pulled off Edmund's mischievous and cunning ways, and admit it, we were all obsessed.
And we can't leave these people behind to suffer for it.
Ah, Peter Pevensie, or as the world knows him, William Moseley.
Say you're sorry.
All right, I'm sorry.
It's a fact that he was basically the Prince Charming of the Narnia franchise. With his golden locks, blue eyes, and nobility, he could rival any Disney prince any day. Like his siblings, the physical descriptions for his character were close to none in the novels. However, as an adult, Lewis describes him as a tall, chested man and a great warrior. It's also alluded to that his hair was actually meant to be brown. It's pretty clear that Peter's most redeeming qualities were meant to be internal. However, William definitely got his royalty vibes down-packed.
Are you with me?
To the death.
Mr. Tumnus has to be one of the most interesting and loyal friends the Pevensies make during their time in Narnia. In fact, he, along with Lucy, actually introduced us to the entire world. His physical appearance is a little more complicated than the human qualities of the Pevensies.
Well, here we are. Come along.
As fans of the franchise know, Tumnus is a fawn, and CGI definitely worked in Disney's favor when it came to transforming actor James McAvoy half-goat. James still got to keep his bright blue eyes, and his brown hair was transferred from just his head onto literally every other part of his body. Despite how bizarre Mr. Tumnus looked in the films, his character in the novel was even more unique. His hair was actually black, he had beady black eyes, and his skin was red. While these differences have more to do with the CGI animators than the casting itself, it's still interesting to think about why they made these changes. Do you think Mr. Tumnus would have looked any cooler with red skin, or do you prefer the movie version?
Would you like to hear some now?
The White Witch, or Jadis, is absolutely striking, and that's true in both the novels and the films. Of course, her thin and tall demeanor was needed considering she was, well, evil. In the film, Tilda Swinton pulled her off with grace. With her blue gown, wild blonde hair, and ice crown, it's hard to imagine that this is almost the opposite of her physical appearance in the novels.
Do you really think that mere force will deny me my right?
Lewis described her as beautiful, youthful, with skin as white as salt and long black hair. Oh, and she was 7 feet tall. Casual. It's hard to say why they decided to make these changes. We know they had the technology to make her look like a giant. I mean, just look at Hagrid in the Harry Potter franchise. All we know is it probably would have made her seem 10 times as intimidating.
What is your name, son of Adam?
If we're talking roguish Disney princes, we're talking Prince Caspian, with actor Ben Barnes' lean and muscular build, shaggy black hair, and smirk. He was definitely interesting to say the least.
You will probably be wanting yours back.
He was also very much an adult. But what if we told you that Prince Caspian was actually meant to be only 13? You wouldn't believe it, right? Especially because at the time of the films, Ben was 27, but it's true. In the novel, not only was he basically a kid, but he was described as a golden-haired boy, the complete opposite of what he actually looked like. This is almost as shocking as the White Witch being 7 feet tall. Almost.
You are a mouse.
I was hoping for something a little more original.
It's safe to say Will Poulter deserves all the credit when it comes to portraying the most annoying character in the franchise. Eustace. His fair hair and light eyes match the character's entitled attitude almost too naturally, but Lewis had a different vision in mind, though the only description he was given in the novels was that his personality matched his appearance. Illustrations of the character show that he had surprisingly dark hair. Not only that, but like Prince Caspian, he was the wrong age. Eustace was meant to be just 9 years old, but instead the casting director decided to go with Will, who was 16 at the time.
That is an outrageous lie!
We don't know about you, but we haven't met a 16-year-old that looks 9. I mean, Narnia is a magical land, so anything is possible, right?
Don't cry.
I don't understand.
We wouldn't blame you if you could never imagine anyone but Peter Dinklage playing the next character, Trumpkin, also known as Prince Caspian's noble dwarf, who helped him restore his power, and was super important in the Disney franchise. With his blue trusting eyes and golden hair, who wouldn't trust him?
A simple thank you would suffice.
They were doing fine drowning me without your help.
Well, would you like him as much if he was portrayed like Lewis intended him to look? Trumpkin was meant to have a huge beard that was coarse and red, and instead his blue eyes were described as twinkling black eyes. Maybe black eyes could be trusting? Phew! We're glad Peter took over the role for this one, but it's still strange they didn't at least give him black contacts to wear.
Haven't enough of us died already?
Diggory Kirk, potentially the most important character of all. He was old, wise, and gave off major grandfather vibes. This may be one character that the films actually got 100% right. In fact, Lewis's only description of him was an old, wise professor.
She's your sister, isn't she? You're a family.
Actor Jim Broadbent's unkempt white hair, small round spectacles, and fancy attire was nothing short of spot on when it came to portraying this character. Even Diggory's cartoon version, in another adaptation, showed off his professor's vibes perfectly. Imagine if every teacher dressed like Kirk. That would be interesting.
Try me.
Jinnarbrich, like Trumpkin, was a dwarf, but a black dwarf. Not to mention, instead of being a hero, was an accomplice to the White Witch. In the films, he was played by Kieran Shah and was plump, short, with a beard and hair that was almost always concealed underneath a red winter hat. Not exactly intimidating.
Is our little prince uncomfortable?
We're here to report that his book appearance was just as soft. Like in the film, he was described as plump and short, but with a beard that touched the ground and a red cap that very much resembled an elf. So basically, he looks like a belonged at the North Pole. Sorry, Jinnarbrich.
I didn't do anything wrong.
How dare you address the Queen of Narnia?
I didn't know.
We're adding another black dwarf to the list, and this time it's Nickabrite. Like his companion, he was short, plump, but his hair and beard were gray with age. And his eyes were blue thanks to actor Warwick Davis.
And I'd gladly do it again if it would rid us of these barbarians.
While his physical appearance isn't a huge matter to the storyline, the novels portray him with black hair instead of gray, and his eyes are a much more intimidating color, black. What's up with this franchise changing everyone's eye color to blue?
I told you we should have killed him when we had the chance.
No matter how old this world Narnia may seem, it still might be bizarre to think that Santa Claus actually paid a visit to the Bavinzi siblings in both the films and the books. When we first see Father Christmas in the films, you wouldn't assume it was good old Saint Nick from just looking at him. He was super modernized and lacked his traditionally huge jolly belly. He had a naturally kept beard and was wearing more of an armor-like Santa suit. However, in the novel, Lewis did not hold back on the traditional vibes. He wore a bright red robe, had a significantly plump stomach, and a long beard that covered his torso. Maybe the Narnia creators thought it was just a tad too tacky?
I thought there was no Christmas in Narnia.
No. Not for a long time.
It might be kind of hard to watch the films the same way ever again, but it's also pretty cool to see how the same character can look so different. It's truly what's on the inside that matters. Which character do you think had the most shocking difference? Did getting all of this info make you look at the films differently? Maybe it's time to give the novels a read. Let us know all your royal thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Time to climb out of the wardrobe.